a potential time cap for a workout tomorrow.
Bam, we're live. Oh, not a time cap for the podcast tonight?
No. I swear it'll be 90 minutes sharp.
I thought maybe someone texted us and was like, hey, I got to go. Hey, I want to look up the word. Good morning, everyone. Corey, Arm TV, Gary Robertson, his house, Travis Bellinghausen, Trina McLeod. Any questions that Gary has that pop up in there from Arm TV, will you make sure we don't lose them?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you pull up the hormones? I want to read the definition of hormones. I think it's spelled WHO. Look, he's logged into 2 accounts. I'm so excited. I'm so freaking excited. What is the definition of hormones?
I got nervous because I was thinking in my head, you guys are for sure going to say a word that like I'm going to hear one time and not know how to spell, and then I'm going to freak out and you're back here just sweating.
Yeah, today's the day that these guys make us look stupid. Okay, hormone. A hormone is a regulatory substance. Sounds like our government. A regulatory substance produced in an organism and transported in tissues, fluids such as blood or sap. Okay. In plants, do plants have hormones? To stimulate specific cells or tissues into action. So it's a substance that controls something regulatory in an organism. That's like me. So what's it control? I wonder what it controls. A synthetic substance with an effect similar to that of an animal or plant hormone. A person's sex hormones is held to influence mood or behavior. Okay, so I guess one of the things a hormone can do is it could influence mood and behavior. So a regulatory substance produced in an organism and transported in tissues, fluids such as blood or sap to stimulate specific cells or tissues into action. So we must have hormones that are produced that regulate our moods. Do we have a sleep hormone? Is that those 2 things? One that keeps us awake and one that puts us to sleep. What is it?
I said melatonin, but that's probably wrong. This is exposing how little I know about this.
That's good. The less we know, the better questions we can ask.
I feel like we're studying for the test like right now. It's like, hey, you want to get together?
Oh shit, here they come. Yeah. Type in how many hormones are there? How many hormones are there in the just in my sap that courses through my veins? By the way, we cannot keep these CEO shirts in stock. I want you guys to know we are ordering more, like as many as we can. And I only have one. I just have this black one. I don't even have the red one yet. And we talked to Life is RX today, and we're putting in a massive order. And I'm so sorry. I didn't want to like police t-shirts. I just wanted to like it to be fun. And I just thought that they just grew on trees. And I'm realizing that it's like, I guess it's like business stuff. You have to pay for them and order them and stuff like that. Okay.
How many do you think there is? Do you want to guess first?
100. 7. Somewhere between 100 and 7. Okay. Okay. Over 50 hormones have been identified in humans and other vertebrates. Hormones control or regulate many biological processes and are often produced in exceptionally low amounts within the body. So it sounds like you don't need a lot of hormones to activate, to get things to start happening. Oh, look at this shirt he has on.
Nice.
That's a beautiful shirt. I was just saying that we can't get shirts out. And there you go.
Really? No, I got it. Got it pretty easily.
He's got his shirt.
Beautiful.
Dr. Connor should be here shortly. She is fixing her mic.
How do you pronounce your last name, Damien?
Burgess. B-U-R.
Okay.
Oh, it's right there. Mm-hmm.
And Caroline. Oh, that's an easy one. Caroline Connor. Did I get it right?
Yes, you got it right.
Awesome. Hey, Caroline. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good start.
Living the dream.
Me too.
And Damien Burgess. And so I'm Sevan. Nice to meet you, Caroline. I was lucky enough to meet Damien when I was down in Newport a month ago. And you met Matt too. We all went out to lunch, right?
We had lunch together.
Okay, awesome.
Good to see you too.
And you 2 guys work for California Hormones. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. We were just looking up the definition of hormones. Can I read you the definition I found, and you guys tell me if Google's right here?
You guys aren't on trial here either. It's all right.
No. This is not on trial. You are on.
on Tuesday.
You're dealing with two preschoolers who are very, very interested in
We started
what,
studying 2 minutes ago.
in what you guys are doing.
Okay, good.
Can you pull up that definition,
Yeah,
Mr. Souza? Cool.
Got it
Thank
right
you.
here.
It's a very casual show. Caroline and Damien, you guys should both know we're live, so questions will be popping up on the side that we'll feed to you from some people who are very interested in California hormones. And then there was one more thing. Oh, and it's a very casual show. You got to go to the bathroom. A kid needs to be slapped around. Someone's butt needs to be wiped. I mean, I got 3 kids. Well, you do you. I start juggling anytime you guys take a break. Hormone, a regulatory substance produced in an organism and transported in tissues, fluids such as blood or sap. I think that's in reference to plants. I guess plants have hormones too.
Yes.
To stimulate specific cells or tissues into action. A person's sex hormones as held to influence behavior or mood. So I was like, man, what could it be regulating? So one of the things that hormones regulate are behavior and mood. Is that correct?
Yes, they can. Yeah, they have multi-functions throughout the body. They're basically messengers throughout the body to make different tissues work the way that we want them to. And one of those is the brain. So that involves behavior and mood.
Could you give me something like how you could explain that to like a 7-year-old, like an example of how that mechanism works in the body? Just any hormone, like a sleep. Is there a hormone that helps dictate sleep?
Well, sleep. Well, definitely testosterone can help regulate sleep. Yeah, there are many different hormones that regulate sleep. They're multi hormones that do that. I don't know as much about sleep specifically, but testosterone and estrogen and progesterone actually help us sleep.
Okay.
So I don't know that there's one specifically that just works on sleep. I think it's multiple different ones working together. I don't know what you think,
Yeah.
Damien, but
And growth hormone. Growth hormone levels can increase the depth of sleep.
So I've heard that term HGH, human growth hormone. There's actually a hormone called human growth hormone.
yes.
Wow. That's the goodness. And that is and we make that naturally. All these hormones that we're going to talk about today are made in the human body naturally, correct?
Yes, most of them are made in the human body, and when we're supplementing, we usually are giving back what was already there to begin with.
Okay. And the insulin's a hormone, correct?
Yes.
And that's the one I guess I'm most familiar with, that's most talked about in my community. And basically that hormone is influenced every time you eat something, right? You put something into your mouth and that hormone gets affected. So one of the greatest ways we can control our hormones is through our diet. Would that be correct?
Yeah, diet definitely can help control your hormones. If you have a shitty diet, then basically, yeah, your hormones are not going to function as well as if you have a good diet, for sure.
And what are the other influencers? Diet?
Well, aging.
Age?
Aging is aging and genetics are the biggest two, I would say.
And then what about sleep?
Yeah,
No?
sleep can affect its stress.
Stress, trauma. Mm-hmm.
How about exercise?
Definitely exercise too.
And so I'm making the presuppositions here, so I'll just double check with you that the healthier you eat, the better you exercise. Let's say the better. I know that's vague. The younger you are, the better genetics you have, and the higher quality of sleep you have, all of your hormones there'll be a cascade of positive effects in your hormonal library.
Yes, for sure. I mean, definitely, if you do all those things, your hormones are going to be better. But depending on your age, even if you're living the perfect life, you probably will still have some effects of the hormones dropping off as you age.
That you need, that you want, that
Yes.
help the quality. And this is all about quality of life, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And how do we know the quality of your hormones?
So we usually check, well, it depends on symptoms, and also we check patients' levels, but some patients, depending on how they're feeling, their levels actually may not show us exactly how they're feeling. So they say they're tired, they have no sex drive, they're moody, but their levels actually may be average. So sometimes it's hard to tell just based on the levels, but we do check the levels and we combine the levels with symptoms, and then we come up with a plan for hormone optimization.
And how do you check levels?
Blood test typically.
And how much blood? Just like, can I prick myself and mail it in?
Well,
I'll
there
have
are,
to ask
yeah,
you.
you can do a splat, like a blood splat, and actually pull hormones off of that. But if you're trying to get a more in depth and trying to pull more values, you should do a draw, which you probably all had before in your past. Probably several vials to make sure, filling up the tiger tops to make sure that we get enough samples so we could run several tests to analyze it.
What did you say? Tiger tops?
Just a type of tube. It's you've probably seen them before when someone actually shows like a blood testing vial.
Why do they call it a tiger top?
No idea.
Because it looks like kind of.
No, it has like a,
It looks
yeah, it
like
has different types of,
tiger.
it looks like a tiger print on there.
Like a cheetah top?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Now I see it. Now I can picture
Cheetah
it. Now
top. Yeah.
now I can picture it perfectly. Okay, so tell me what California Hormones does, like the premise of the company.
Basically, it is a telehealth platform that allows people to meet with physicians to get a baseline testing to see about treatment options for hormone optimization. It's like a crash course version of it.
Okay, say that one more time. So it's telehealth, meaning I don't have to go in there. I can call or I can talk to you on a computer.
Correct. Just like
Okay.
this.
And then, oh, great. And so this is kind of like my first appointment right here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How
But
are
we
you
need-
feeling?
We need your levels.
Okay, so what did you say after that? It's telephysicians. Keep going. Sorry.
Mhm.
And then what's the next line?
So what we're doing is trying to, a lot of people come to us for different things. So I guess the first purpose was try to figure out what you're looking for. And so we'll do a health assessment and go through a thorough exam through questions and answers and probably a few questionnaires that you'd fill out. From there, we would run laboratory exams, laboratory testing to see where your hormones are. And at that point, based of your subjective, like what you tell us is bothering you based on your clinical our clinical findings in the lab tests, we'll be able to try to prescribe something that would actually try to meet your goals, whether it's I'm feeling fatigued, I'm feeling cloudy, I don't have as much mental clarity. We'll try to figure out the program that fits you.
I was interviewing Paul Saladino. He's the carnivore MD.
Mhm.
And he said he was on a flight and he was sitting next to a man. And he said throughout the flight, the man had, my connection is shitty. Is my connection shitty? What are you talking about?
No blurry.
Oh, okay.
Maybe get a hormone for your blurry camera there.
I apologize.
Boost it
Yeah.
up a little bit.
He said he was sitting next to a man, and he said he saw the man eat like 7 or 8 scones on the flight. You know those scones that like they serve you in a little plastic wrapper on the airplane. You know what I'm talking about? They're like just a shitty cookie and dry cookie, and he said the man was large, like pushing 400 pounds. And he said when he got off the flight, somehow him and the man started talking, and the man said, "Oh yeah, well that's why I only had 1 scone on the plane." And Dr. Saladino told me that he believes that guy believed that he only had 1 scone, that he didn't realize he had 8 scones. Like that was just, you know what I mean? He didn't realize that he was doing that he wasn't like overtly lying. And I bring that up because if you're doing this with people, I guess, are they Zoom calls you do with them? How do you trust patients? And this isn't a weakness of telemedicine. This is just like a weakness of, in general, when you question people, right? You're trying to they're like, yeah, I exercise every day. And you find out that they think exercise is getting up and going to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's a chronic problem.
Right.
I think that happens, well, I have a private practice as well, and I see a lot of couples in the private practice, and sometimes, the wife comes in and I start asking her about her husband, and I start to get a lot more information than I would have had if I just would have talked to
Right.
her husband, because people forget, or, I usually have them fill out a questionnaire because they tend to be a bit more revealing on the questionnaire than just interviewing them and asking them, so yeah, it's a chronic issue.
But that part's got to be important for them to be honest. The more honest they are, the better you can serve them.
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely. I think sometimes they don't even know they're being dishonest.
Right. And that was
like,
kind of my
That's the
point.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
He
Yeah, you
ate
tell 'em
8
to-
and he said he ate 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very common in my practice, and I'm sure it's the same for Dr. Connor, is that we'll have someone come in and say something, and then you're like, all right, are you taking any other medications or any other supplements? They're like, no. And then 5 minutes later in the conversation, they start telling you that they're taking some off the shelf or something else that their friend gave them, but it wasn't prescribed by a doctor, but they don't consider a medication or a supplement for that.
How long has this been around, what you guys are doing? Testing people's blood and then offering them supplementation, hormonal supplementation?
Well, I mean, actually pellets, testosterone pellets have been around since the 1950s. So they've actually been around a long time. It's definitely getting to, the tide is changing with medicine going more towards regenerative and preventative medicine. So in the last probably 5 years, it's definitely gotten to be a more popular option for patients. But it has actually been around for a long time. And then in 2000, I think it was back in 2000, there was a big study, at least for women. I've only been treating men for about 5 years, but for women, there was a huge study in 2000 that showed a slightly increased risk of breast cancer with a substance called Prempro, which is synthetic hormones, Premarin, and synthetic progestins. So that was very controversial, and everyone stopped using hormones and was very scared after that. It only showed a very, very slightly increased risk of breast cancer, but it was using hormones that we don't really use anymore. No one uses Prempro anymore. So it's actually been around for a really long time. So it's just kind of stopped there in 2000 and came to a screeching halt, and then we've just been rebuilding since.
And okay, and then on the male side, the issue, I guess, has been, well, I guess the issue is also the same thing that's made it so attractive. All the talk that we hear about testosterone, it's always, I mean, how it popped up in my life first, obviously, is the Hulk Hogan's, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, and then Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire. I don't know how old you guys are, but that was like a huge thing in my life, like,
Yeah.
And so there was this stigma that it was illegal. Do you know what I mean? Like almost like only the mob does it. Only you know what I mean? It's like illegal.
Yeah.
And then slowly you started seeing in the back of airplane magazines, there was this one doctor. He was older, like 70, and like bald and had these little, like the old silver glasses, but he was jacked. Do you know which guy I'm talking about? No. He was like the
I
testosterone.
feel like I've seen it. I mean, that is such a clear picture. I feel like I've seen it.
So
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is a legal thing to supplement your hormones. It's legal.
Yeah, it's totally legal. It's actually very safe. But I mean, people like Jose Canseco, I mean, they were young. I mean, how old were they when they were?
Oh, in their 20s, probably.
Yeah, so that's totally different than someone that's in their 40s or 50s and needs to put that back. I mean, if you put testosterone to Jose Canseco, his level was probably around 1,000 to start with. So you put more into him, he's at 2,000, 3,000, who knows what level they were at. So he's like superhuman at that point, because he already has plenty of testosterone. But a normal male at 52 goes through andropause, his testosterone may be 100 to 300. So you're just trying to get him back to a level that he was in his 20s and 30s. Is he going to feel like he was when he was 20, 30? Probably not, but he's going to feel much better. So that's.
I had a friend in his 40s who got on human growth hormone. He said he felt like he was 18 again.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, typically I will mainly do testosterone. Growth hormone, there's not as much information and it is very expensive to get. But if you can be on both testosterone and growth hormone, then yeah, you're definitely going to probably feel like you're 18 if you can tolerate the side effects.
Okay. And we'll get to those, the side effects. What's andropause? That's something that every man goes through. I don't like the word pause in there. Can we
I don't know why they call it that.
Is it called like? Is it really Andra end? Andrew, you're over.
I think it's similar because like menopause, they decided to throw andropause in
Oh,
there.
great, thanks.
Yeah,
They're being inclusive. So sweet of them.
yeah, exactly.
Menopause.
It's a newer term that's just starting to be accepted now by men because they didn't believe that men went through an andropause, but now we definitely, well, we're checking levels, so we see that men go through a similar thing that women do.
What are some of the symptoms? I know a guy who just turned 50. I'm curious. I want to help him out. What are some of the symptoms of andropause?
A few questions now, actually.
Yes.
Fatigue, anxiety, irritability, mood changes, sexual side effects, loss of morning erections, loss of sex drive.
I always tell people like that for me, that's the cure to like, if you ever have erectile dysfunction, if you want a hard on before you go to bed, you drink a big glass of water. And when you wake up, this thing, well, I don't know. It's not like, it's like kind of like a fake hard on. It's like a fake erection. You know what I mean? The thing, it's like, it's full of.
Yeah, that's a bladder erection.
Yeah, but they're useful. They're crazy useful. They don't come with a lot of baggage. You're not like, and they're like this, you know what I mean? Like this gold stapler. And they're completely useful. They are, I'm telling you.
I don't know that works for everybody. Maybe.
All right. Well, it just means that
let's have to do an experiment. Let's get 50 men and see if that works.
I feel like they're more for show. I don't know if that is that useful.
They are for show, but they work too. They work. Yeah. Oh, they totally work. They're actually even more effective, I think. But that's it. We'll get into that later on in the show.
Okay, well, I don't know the scientific research on that one, but
I'm no doctor. I'm an N of one. I'm just
a big anecdotal.
Let's interview 10 men and see if they did that.
How they do. So what if I'm 50 and I don't have those symptoms, but I still want to get the blood work? Do I still want to get the blood work done?
Well, I mean, if you're not having any of those problems, the thing I always tell patients about starting hormones or starting testosterone, if you feel good, once you start it, you're never going back. So
because it's that good.
Well, yeah, and you're never going to want to go back to feeling the way you did before.
Right. Damn it.
Usually.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I get it.
If you feel really good, and I do have plenty of patients that feel good. They feel good in their 50s. And they don't have a lot of symptoms. So if you're someone that works out a lot and you may have a lot of natural testosterone already, and so you may still feel good. But people that are not working out, they're not athletes, typically by 52, they're not going to be feeling well.
I see men with these beautiful bodies who are, younger than me, 15 years younger than me. And then they, on social media, they'll post their testosterone and it'll be pretty low. Well, what they say is low, I guess like 300 to 400. Is that low?
Yeah, that's low. But yeah, I have seen it. I have seen that in some patients that still have really good muscle mass and their testosterone levels will still be low.
Is that how doctors say someone has a nice body? Oh, you have some nice muscle mass.
Yes.
That's the scientific. I'm not hitting on you.
It almost sounds like more. It actually sounds more like you have some nice muscle mass. Almost sounds more.
I went for a physical at Kaiser in Vallejo. I was doing a trip to Africa. I was in my.
Well, that was your first mistake, Kaiser.
Right. Well, and
they're not going to do any hormones at Kaiser.
Yeah, this isn't about hormones, really. This is just us talking amongst friends. And this doctor, I was in my it's probably my early 30s, and I had to get naked for this physical. And this doctor touched my penis. It was a male doctor. This doctor touched my penis with no gloves.
Oh,
that's not appropriate, right?
I would not do that. No.
Damien, you ever touched one of your patient's penis without gloves?
I haven't.
Caroline, I hate to put you on the spot. Have you?
I'm a gynecologist too, so that would be like me touching someone's vagina without gloves. And no, I have never ever done that.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember I was like kind of having an out of body experience a little bit when he did that. It was like I just popped out over here. I'm like, yo.
He didn't have gloves on. He didn't have gloves on and then took them off, right?
The nuances. Oh, it was so weird. It was so weird. But for me, I just chalked it up as like a bi experience. I'm like, okay, well, I chalked that up in the resume. On my LinkedIn, I went over there and said bi. Crazy.
Good call.
That's interesting.
True story.
Well, like I said, that's your first mistake.
How long ago was this?
I think my T count skyrocketed. I'm 50 now. Is probably I think it had to have been in my early 30s, 30, 31, 32.
So, and I'm sorry, I'm ignorant on the podcast. I did watch the one from your latest one, but I'm assuming you're very active. You work out a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah. So you're.
I mean, I'm old. It's like if Matt saw me work out, he would laugh. But I'm like in my mind, I'm a fucking rock star.
Yeah, he's got some capacity. He works out. Don't let him fool you.
So you're not. I mean, we should just check your levels and see where you're at because.
I'm scared.
Yours are probably actually pretty good because you do work out a lot. But
I don't sleep.
See, that's definitely part of it. That's part of andropause whenever you start going through it. So they're definitely probably not what they were when you were 25 or 35.
And I'm in a lot of physical pain.
Yeah.
Like when I wake up in the morning, I'm in and I have a feeling if I did get my blood work and did get on the protocol, I have a feeling my pain would go away, subside.
Yeah, it does help a lot with that as well.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna wait till I don't know what I'm going to wait for. I'm going to watch what happens to Gary first. Gary Roberts. Gary's I think going to partake. Okay. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay. So someone calls in and so someone goes to the website and it's California Hormones and I apologize. I haven't asked any questions about women yet. And I need to ask questions about women too. Cause I just didn't think that this was for women, but I'm learning it is.
Well, yeah. It's for both men and women, both.
Women have hormones too.
Yeah, women's are much more complicated, and they have more hormones that we need to replace. But yeah,
for shit, I would have never known that. I thought you guys were so simple.
That's true.
Complicated.
So okay, so I'm interested in doing it, and what I do is I would go. So I come to this website, and I can just sign up with you guys, and then you find a blood lab in my area. I go to the blood lab, they do a draw in the process, and then that blood lab sends the data to you guys, and then from there you guys become my doctors and tell me what you think.
Correct. Yep.
It's that simple.
Yep. There's labs all across. I mean, for instance, California or throughout the United States that we have a national account with that we could just send you pretty much anywhere that's close to your locality. There's a lab somewhere in every city.
And it's really that easy. I click on here. I fill out my name and that stuff. You tell me where to go to a blood lab or I look one up in my area. And then
we'll take care of it.
You take care of it. And then I go to the blood lab. I don't look like that. And then what happens? Okay, so let's say I did that, and let's say you got my what numbers would you be looking at on the blood? Like, I know what this is gonna mean. This is gonna be fun. Sorry, this is gonna get really slow here. So my blood goes to you guys, and what do you guys look at?
So we look at all the hormones, testosterone for males, testosterone mainly, and free testosterone is really important. Estrogen, males do also have estrogen. So we do check that. And then we'll check thyroid. So all the main hormones. I don't check progesterone in men. Some people do, but I don't. And then also a blood count, and then a PSA to check the prostate. What else am I leaving out?
I had that thing checked too. That wasn't fun. I didn't like that.
Did he use a glove?
Well, it was weird. He did use a glove, and
I use the glove then.
he did use a glove, and he was nice, but I was trying to like think like, does he hate this more than me, or do I hate this more than him? Like, I was just like this, like, is he like, oh fuck, I went to school for fucking 12 years and now I'm sticking fingers and dudes. Anyway, then a week later, he calls me and he says, hey, your prostate's it wasn't perfectly symmetrical or something. I want you to go see a specialist. And then the specialist had to stick his finger in my ass, and I'm just like, I wrote back. I said, next time, can I just go straight to the specialist? It was just.
Yeah. Well, I usually send a lot of my patients just straight to the specialist.
I wish I wasn't so finicky about my anus. I wish I was more open. I want to be more open about it. I'm an open kind of guy, but that.
Hey, you got some advice. Remember, you just got to relax.
Yeah. You didn't like it? No. Oh, that's because it's your fault. Someone told me. I was like, fuck.
I'd rather send to the urologist. I'm like, I don't do that part. Guys are like, why don't you just do it? I'm like, no. That you're going to the urologist. I don't do that.
You're nice. That's very nice of you. Oh, thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate the. Oh, Trina, you're a woman. Like, you should be. This is when you walk away from the podcast. You don't participate in the barrage of comments that these disgusting men say. Okay.
I think we did have a comment though from
Mr. Robert. Can you describe what anastrol does? Are we getting ahead of ourselves? Do we allow that question?
Yeah.
Is that a real question?
Okay, go ahead.
We can cover that question. Yeah,
Okay.
Anastrozole is an estrogen blocker. So whenever you're giving testosterone therapy, testosterone will convert to estrogen. And so that's whenever you hear about, men that are doing testosterone or the juicers, they're getting gynecomastia. Or they're getting boobs. Yeah. So when testosterone converts to estrogen, that can happen. So you want to make sure a male's estrogen doesn't get too high so they don't have side effects like that. Typically, when you're just doing testosterone replacement therapy, it's going to be very rare that you get a male with gynecomastia, but anastrozole will block that conversion of that enzyme from testosterone to estrogen.
Wow, good question, Wad Zombie. That's like a $5 question. Okay, maybe it was almost like a test. Like
I knew the answer to that one.
I felt like they were trying to find out if you were a real doctor. Like that was like a test.
You just looked that up.
Yeah, is she just one from Getty Images, or is she a real doctor? Okay, and then how does that work? So let's say you see. What would be a typical thing you would see in let's say, a man of my age, a 50-year-old man? What would be like, just can you give me like, pretend like you saw my blood work and you could be like, okay, your testosterone was this, your estrogen was this, your thyroid was this.
Yeah, exactly. So
okay.
I would give you a questionnaire and we would go through your symptoms, what you're having. And typically when people come in, they're complaining of, lack of sleep or joint pains, all those things. So I look at that, and then
my wife's been with the gardener.
they tell me these things too.
Okay.
So that's all part of it. But yeah, so I look at your testosterone. Someone that's in their 50s, if you're having issues, it could be anywhere from 100 to 500. So typically 500 will be on the higher end for someone that's 50.
And 100 is like 1/3 of what Leah Thomas has.
I mean, 100 is what we shoot for in females. So when we're replacing it for females, we're shooting for about 150 to 250. So typically males are about 10 times higher than females. But in someone that's in andropause, their testosterone might be, 500 will be a higher number. Like a lot of times it's around 300.
So if a man's is normally a 10 times higher, what you'd want to see in a man is 1,000 and in a woman is 100.
Well, so yes, in a male that's probably 25. I don't know. I was just watching your podcast from last night, and that guy.
I'm sorry. It embarrasses me when I find out people watch my podcast. Please don't do that.
The guy that won. I mean, that guy's got to be oozing testosterone. I would love to see what his level is. Justin. I mean, he's got to be like 1400 naturally. I don't know. I would love to see
Who is that? Oh,
Medeiros.
Justin Medeiros.
the
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
that
yeah.
won the competition. I mean, so, but you know, what is he, like 21,
23, yeah.
23? Yeah. So, I mean, but anyway, so a male is usually about 10 times as much as female, but a natural female is going to be somewhere from 20 to 70s typically. So, but when we replace it in women, we actually go for super therapeutic levels. So 150 to 250 is a little high for a female.
And the same symptoms for females, fatigue, joint pain, moodiness,
Anxiety. Anxiety is a really
no shit.
big problem with menopause. So you notice, as you know, I don't know if you're married or
Yeah. 3 wives.
well, over time you may notice as they get older, they get a little crankier, you know, and they start not, you know, just not having the same energy, not wanting to have sex, just not feeling well.
Oh, I thought she was just into being tied up and held down. That's weird. Maybe I misread that. Hey,
she'll want to be tied up even more if you put her on testosterone.
You mean when she's screaming no, she means it? Susan, can you pull up anxiety? I want to see the definition of that word anxiety. I only get anxiety if I'm like right before I'm about to do some crazy public speaking or right before the podcast starts. Like a few seconds before it starts, my anxiety levels fucking skyrocket.
Yeah, well, I've had anxiety since they told me I had to do this.
Right. Okay, good. Well, my job is to like try to lower yours and my anxiety at the same time. A feeling of worry or nervousness, unease, typically about imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. Yeah, that's how every podcast is. It's like, oh shit. I'm like, my brain starts up and it gets really loud. Okay. Okay. And so I wonder what is the mechanism of that? Why does low testosterone levels make someone have, I would characterize it as an hyperactive mind, right? A noisy mind.
It could be a noisy mind, but also as the heart's racing, you know, some people have chest pain, they're sweating, you know, can be a temperature regulation issue. But I mean, it also has to do with the brain and neurotransmitters, and hormones can control that as well. I don't know. I can't say that I know the exact mechanism of how it works, but it works on the brain. And, you know, hormones, they're messengers. So they're receptors in the brain. So that can help relieve anxiety.
My friends in the past, young men who've taken, I don't even know what it was, but they were pills and they were steroids, and these guys got fucking huge and strong. Another thing that they had is they had this sort of presence about them that women just kind of gravitated towards. It was crazy. It was.
There's definitely like, I think that's definitely a thing too. I mean, because there's pheromones and like supposedly men can smell when a woman is ovulating. so
I have 3 kids. I think it's true.
So I definitely think that if someone has more testosterone, women are going to be more attracted to them. It's just like chemistry and signaling. And I don't know exactly how that works. I don't think anybody does, but I definitely think if someone has a higher testosterone level that it's just naturally, they're going to, you know, it's all about reproduction. That's the whole point. Right?
Yeah, they would have 3 wives and 7 camels. Yes, that's correct. If they have...
well, I was actually reading about it, you know, preparing for this podcast, and on Wikipedia, it says that men that have higher testosterone levels are, well, maybe I shouldn't even say this. This is not.
Yeah, let's hear it. Well, everyone stop listening. Use the bathroom while the doctor talks.
Wikipedia says that testosterone can, you know, that some men that have higher testosterone levels can possibly be more likely to be promiscuous or cheat on their wives or.
Oh, well, if it's yeah. I mean, if the opportunities are there, every time there's an exit on the freeway, there's a chance you might take it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like.
But this is different in testosterone replacement. If you're just replacing it, getting you back to a normal level, then, you know, I'm not promoting that's true. That's what Wikipedia says.
That really is an interesting thing, though. Comparison. You're driving down the road and you don't want a cup of coffee, but you see there's a Starbucks a mile ahead and you pull over and get some. I mean, you see the analogy there, right? Simile.
Yes.
Like, okay. So
So
yeah, so those, and there was definitely something about these guys, and it wasn't just women who were attracted to them; men were attracted to them too. You wanted to be around these people. There was I guess the slang term would be like a cocksureness, a sureness about them. Like they were the rooster. They
confident. Yeah.
yes, but not in an arrogant way. But they were there.
Yeah.
And you're right. They were
It
there.
definitely gives you confidence. So it gives you confidence, and you just feel better. And I mean, when you feel better, and you're happy, and you're not anxious, and you have more confidence.
What can go wrong? Cocksure. Oh, sorry. Hold on one second. Great. Thank you, Susan. Cocksure. I didn't know it was spelled like that. Presumptuously or arrogantly confident.
Just be the Urban Dictionary. I don't know.
What a great. That says Oxford. But anything's Oxford now. What are the how does it mix with the vaccine? What if I have 75 never mind. I'm not even going to go down there.
I mean, I haven't seen any issues with, I mean, I'm not always asking them if they've been vaccinated for testosterone replacement, but I haven't had any
Don't
issues.
you, if they're not vaccinated, don't you have to put on 17 masks and 35 layers of PPE?
I don't do that. I mean, we've started to not wear masks finally, but I see a lot of pregnant women too. So we still wear masks for them, but.
So what can go wrong? So let's say I do that. You go through my blood work, and sorry, before we say what can go wrong, what would be some of the things you and Damien would have prescribe?
Well,
what's that look like? Is it shots? Is it pills? And what are they? And how do I get them?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. You could definitely start with shots. There's also creams that could be done. We could implant pellets that has a slow release. So there's different ways to get this medicine derived. Some people are capable of injecting themselves. Other people prefer creams, compounded creams.
And what are in those creams? Is it not only testosterone but estrogen? What types of things do you prescribe in those things? So and where do the pellets get inserted?
In the fat of your booty.
Okay, off to the side of the anus.
Yeah, not in the anus.
All right, it's not a suppository.
No.
Sevan's like going there again.
Your anxiety went up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So it's inserted. We make an incision on the side of the hip, and for men, they need about 10 pellets, 10 to 12, depending on the male and their weight. It's based on weight. So, but it sits in the subcutaneous fat, and it usually dissolves for about 6 to 7 months.
How big are the pellets?
What's that?
How big are the pellets?
They're about this big, like a pill. They look like a pill, but a larger, skinnier pill.
And what's the best to take, the injection, the cream, or the pellets?
Well, it depends on the age of the person. So it really depends on the age of the person, because you could treat, a lot of, and whether or not they want to maintain fertility. So some of my guys prefer injections. Some of my guys prefer pellets. So, but you never want to give injections to a male that wants to have a child at some point, because the one thing about injections that if you want, and that's the other reason I say don't ever start testosterone therapy until you're ready or until your levels are pretty low, because if someone that had normal levels started using testosterone injections and then they decided to stop, they'll never get back to their natural levels again that they had before.
No, only regarding injections.
Only regarding injections. That's what I don't really know exactly about pellets, because most of the people that are doing pellets are older, but from what I know, that doesn't do that with the pellets. But I mean, they always say that, they always say, oh no, that doesn't happen. So I'm not.
Wow, you sound like an honest doctor. That's incredible. Why wouldn't you want, if I wanted to have kids, why wouldn't I do the injections? Does it messes with my sperm, my swimmers?
Yeah, it's basically male birth control. What
would it change the viscosity of my semen? Would it change the when I saw it, would it feel different when it came out or look different?
I don't think so. I don't
All
think
right.
it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna. Well, it might. I don't know. I mean, we'd have to do a study on that.
All right. It's
Yeah,
always
you said one,
it's the thing when people are like, "Hey, you should get your tubes tied." I'm like, "Fuck that! This mixture's perfect. It feels great when it comes out. I don't want you to change the fucking like makeup of the." But people say it feels the same. But like, I'm worried if you take the swimmers out, you might lose some of the something.
Yeah.
Damien, do the
Well, I
swimmers
don't know.
change?
Yeah, that's good. I mean,
Are you
Like,
concerned about the distance?
what I've noticed
talking
personally,
No,
after
not the distance.
what I've noticed personally after vasectomy is there's a lot less volume, which to me is appreciated.
Oh man, I'm not okay with that. Hey, how about with women? How about with women? Does it affect them at all? Does it affect their vaginas at all? Like when a woman's pregnant, the vagina is. I mean, the vagina is already a great place, but when a woman's pregnant, it's like the greatest place on earth. It's like.
Well, during pregnancy, I mean, your hormones are just through the roof. Like everything is highly, highly elevated.
Yeah, it's like the vagina is always on. It's like
Yeah.
just always. It's showtime.
Yeah.
It's like it's ready
until a baby comes out, and then there's
showtime.
No
So curtains closed.
Yes.
But does when women get on these types of therapies, does it increase their libido or decrease?
Yes.
It does. It increases it.
Their libido, yes. And a lot of women will suffer from vaginal dryness as they get into their 50s, and so it definitely helps with that too.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was wondering. When I first heard about this. That was one of the first things I thought. I wonder if it does any damage to the vagina, like fucks it up at all. But no,
it's actually it's great for the vagina actually.
And that is actually what I thought. I wonder if it turns it into a desert.
No, if you don't give hormones, eventually I have some women in their 60s that are not on hormones, and eventually, they'll start. It'll shrink. And it will become really thin, and it becomes dry. They can't become lubricated. It's harder for them to have an orgasm. So naturally, that's what will happen over time. Definitely after 50. Some people will experience before that.
Wow, it's almost like that they don't want to have kids anymore after 50.
Well, yeah, it's kind of
right.
Yeah. Well, that's what we used to die after 50. So
crazy.
It's just evolution. I think over time we're going to start. Menopause is going to be later.
Because we're living longer.
We're living longer, and we're having kids later. I mean, my average patient is 35 now, and I have lots of women in their 40s having babies. So
my wife didn't. My wife had our first baby at 39, and our twins at 43.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's. I mean, especially in California. I mean, who can?
Well, that was illegal. They were both illegal. We had them at home. She was too old. Old ladies can't have babies at home in California. California is fucked up.
Yeah.
What do you mean, especially in California? I cut you off. Meaning that women are exercise more here or healthier here, or
no? I think it's just a financial. It's a lot financial. I mean, it's a lot harder I have a lot of patients in the middle class, and if they're working all the time, they're trying to save money, they want to buy a house, they can't even buy a house. It's so expensive here to buy a house for an average person, and they're waiting to finish their careers, and they've saved money to buy a house and then have a baby. Everybody pushes everything back. So I definitely think in California the age is a lot higher than it is in Texas. I grew up in Texas, so everyone in there had babies in their 20s. I came out here, and everybody's having babies in their mid 30s.
Right.
Just the cost of living, I think, is a huge part of it.
Right. I'm always blown away when I see people who have kids in their 20s and 30s now, since I waited till I was 43.
We're definitely meant to have kids, or females are meant to have kids in their 20s. I love it when I get a 20-year-old that's pregnant. I'm like, oh yes, this is going to go very easy. They just come in and they have a baby, no problem.
Right. Median home price in the Bay Area has risen to $996,000, and inflation adjusted 70% increase since 2012. Wow.
It's hard. It's hard for people to live here.
$1 million fixer-uppers.
Yeah.
2-bedroom, one bath, 500 square feet, $900,000.
Yeah, so, people send in their blood work, then you and Damien will, or are there other, I'm assuming there's other doctors also, will prescribe a protocol for them. And do you start off slow? Does it start off slowly? How do you have to commit to 12 months? Do you have to commit to the rest of your life? Like you were saying, you probably won't ever come off. And how soon before you start seeing some, like, wow, something's changing?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the patient and the patient's results. Let's say if we were replacing mid 40s with testosterone replacement therapy, they'll start noticing small changes early. But if you're thinking about getting the body changes, the lean body mass, and decreasing like abdomen, like fat, and you're looking at probably like starting to see maybe like 4 to 6 weeks, depending. Like you could start seeing small changes, but will feel that confidence. They'll start feeling better. And a lot of people that come to us don't want to look like, well, I mean, I'm sure everyone wants to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club, but some people want to come and see us and actually just want to feel better and have more of a quality of life. And that to them is one of the reasons why Dr. Connor was saying that people don't come off it. It's because they feel so good on it, they don't want to come back. They may not get the six packs they wanted, but they just feel good. So I guess it depends on the patient, but most of them get the mental clarity and the confidence and feeling better. That's obviously the first, I guess, benefits of it.
Does everybody see body composition change?
Most people will. Most people will have guys. I feel like are a slam dunk. I mean, they'll see an increase in their muscle mass. They'll lean out. Females, it's a lot harder to get them to lean out, even if they're exercising and dieting. But men will, once you replace testosterone and growth hormone in men, you will see them increase in muscle mass and lean out pretty quickly. I mean, it usually takes, if you're using pellets, it usually takes about 2 weeks for it to kick in. But I mean, you won't see the full benefits of testosterone therapy, like the actual good health benefits. You'll see an increase in bone mass or bone mineral density. There's a decreased risk of Alzheimer's disease. There's cardiac benefits. Like those kind of benefits you won't see for probably 2 years. So it really depends on that. And then we treat people depending on their age. And if, like, I look at it, what age are you and what are you? Do you want to have kids? Or are you past that and you're done with that? Those people will be on it probably forever. If you're done with kids, you're closer to andropause, or you're in your 40s and 50s, you probably stay on it forever. Someone that is coming to us in their 30s and might want to do it for a little bit and then wants to have kids later, you could put them on Clomid, which actually increases their fertility.
More swimmers.
Yes.
Is it really more swimmers? Is that how better fertility works?
Yes, it can definitely help with fertility because it depends on which side of the pituitary you're working on. So like I was saying earlier, testosterone is like male birth control. So for females, we give them back estrogen and progesterone, and that inhibits their pituitary. So it inhibits their brain to send the signals to make the ovary ovulate. So in the same thing with a man. So you're working on the pituitary, you're inhibiting those signals from the front end to make more hormones from your ovaries or the testes. So with Clomid, you're pushing the forward part of the cycle. So you're pushing more of the signaling hormones down to the testes to make more sperm.
So sorry, were you going to say something, Matt? Or did someone say something?
Loaded. No.
No. Okay. Go back for a second. You said it takes. Go back to the benefits thing again. Sorry. One more time. Go over that. I wasn't listening as well as I should have been. You talked about the something that happens at the 2-year mark. What was that?
Oh well, the 2-year mark, you'll see an increase in bone mineral density.
No shit.
Decreased risk of osteoporosis and osteopenia.
Who shouldn't do this? I
think everyone that's 50 and over should do it.
What
Unless you have a natural testosterone level already. So I have a couple patients that are super active, and I have a couple that their testosterone levels are still fairly good, like in their 70s, females. And they feel fine. So if their natural level is still really good, but if someone's natural level is is 0 or 9, then yeah, I think they need it. But the
Wait,
thing is,
did you say 0?
yeah, there are plenty of people that they're level 0. A female, when she goes through menopause at 52, her estrogen is 0, her progesterone is 0, and her testosterone is probably 10 or less. The level.
What's the lowest a dude can go?
I've seen men with levels of 0.
And are you like, do you be like, okay, get more blood work? Like, do you have to double check that one? Are you
Yeah,
like, wait a
we
second?
double checked it like 3 times.
No shit.
So
Are you sure it was a man?
yes.
You check that too. We're gonna have to do a cup check here.
No gloves.
That one I'm still stumped by, and so are most of the doctors that, I don't know.
Hey, so what if someone's testosterone? What if someone's 29 years old, they have 2 kids already, they're done, and they come in and they test, and their testosterone level's 500, but they want it to be 1,000.
If they want it to be 1,000, then yeah, I mean 500. Yeah, they could do either injections, cream, or pellets at that point. So I mean, but they're 29, so they're signing up. I mean, and a lot of this is not covered by insurance, so it gets expensive too.
How much is it?
Well, I'll have Damien go over that.
There's a bunch of different price points, but basically starting at a monthly subscription of $200, so it can get pricey. And then the growth hormone gets up, it's basically around 1,000. So
200
minimum.
I spend that much on coffee every month. Oh, actually, that's not true. Probably 400.
So and then
and is it better to quit drinking coffee when you do this? Like, could I take my coffee money?
Yeah, a lot of times you won't need as much coffee.
Yeah, that could be my thing. That could be.
A lot of my patients say they need a lot less coffee.
200 a month sounds so cheap to me.
Well, it depends on what you're doing. I mean, yeah, for the subscriptions, then yeah, they're going to be around 200. That maybe the cream or the injections. For pellets, we usually charge in my practice 800 for the males, but that will last them 6 to 7 months. But growth hormone can get very pricey, and peptides can get pricey as well.
Yeah, that's crazy. $800 for 6 months. I mean, to fill up my minivan that I drive my kids around in, which lowers my testosterone. That thing's like $112 to fill up now.
Yeah.
There's actually, I'll send you over the formula. I've done a study. For every 5 minutes you stay in it, how many points of testosterone you lose. I'll send that over to you, Dr. Caroline. Afterwards. Maybe we can work on a paper together and put it in the New England Journal of Medicine. The minivan.
We have a couple studies we need to do after this talk.
What if I'm not going to work out? Well, yeah, let's go here first. What if I'm not going to work out and I'm not going to change my diet and I'm just doing this? You think that that's about, should there be a complete plan? I mean, it seems like it's such a fun experiment. I mean, it's your body, and you're going to experiment with it, and you're going to partake in something that has such great potential to help you, that if you're not going to bother changing your diet or start working out, then is it kind of like, hey, you just don't do it? You're not ready? Like, is there?
Well, I would say that most of
it's like drinking a cup of coffee right before you go to bed. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, no, most of the population, I think. Well, in California, actually, people are much healthier. In other states, people don't, don't work out as much. But I think the half of the population, probably in California, is not really exercising or dieting.
No one at Disneyland is.
So I mean, you're getting them back to. I mean, you're still giving them benefits even if they're not exercising and eating right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. I think some people will get the energy boost, the better sleep, and then if they're on it long enough, they could get the increased bone density and cardiovascular without necessarily going through an extreme regimen of working out.
Right.
But some people might just want it to get through their work day, and if they are getting depressed, it could help with depression. Not that it's a cure for depression, but it can make them feel in a better mood.
Why wouldn't be the only thing I've heard you say And I appreciate your complete transparency and honesty about it. The only thing I've heard you say that makes me think that someone shouldn't do it is that it's the commitment.
Yes. It's a commitment. I don't see, I mean, some people are.
I sort of get this fear that like, what if I lived in the Ukraine and I was doing this and fucking my doctor died, and then the testosterone manufacturing plant blew up. I'd be like, oh fuck.
Well, I do. I mean, I'm on testosterone too, and I have that fear because the FDA is constantly trying to shut this whole thing down because the pharmaceutical companies, they're trying to shut down the compounding pharmacies. And so, there's always this fear that we're not going to be able to get it. And me and my partner at work, we're both like, well, we're going to jump over the border to Mexico and find it because I mean, it makes you feel so much better. I mean, I couldn't do my job as well if I wasn't on it, but I don't see, I mean, unless you have some major side effects from it. I mean, it can cause some acne in females, like it can cause some acne and hair growth, but there's other things that we can do to minimize those symptoms. So I don't see really any reason not to do it, except unless in certain patients that have hormonal cancers, like someone that already has a man that already has prostate cancer, and if they have testosterone receptors on the prostate cancer, then you can't give that male testosterone.
Oh, that would be like juicing up the cancer cells?
Yeah. So, or growth hormone too. If you had some sort of cancer already there, it could possibly make that tumor grow. So, and in a patient that has breast cancer, I mean, there are a few patients that have had breast cancer that I will treat with hormones, but I'm very selective on those patients. It depends on the type of cancer. So, but a lot of those women cannot take hormone therapy.
Yeah, there's other dudes who've had cancer and gone through chemo and then got on testosterone replacement therapy and just like they're just jacked.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that I would be a little more. I would definitely consult with the urologist and work closely with them if someone was ever going to get on it afterwards.
I just got this thing in the mail. Fuck, we're swerving again. I just got this thing in the mail from Kaiser, and it's an envelope, and there was a sheet of paper in it and instructions. And you open this sheet of paper and you set it on top of the toilet, and then you take a deuce on it. And then they gave me this plastic stick that I'm supposed to like, hit the deuce with, and then like put a top on it and turn it.
Oh, wow. So they're sending that to your house?
They sent that to my house. I didn't even ask for it. They're just like,
they probably send it to all their patients.
Yeah. And I feel old because we already talked. I got a raging heart on every morning. It's on demand, 1 glass of water. I don't need a lot of sleep. I work out 3 times a day. My podcast is exploding. My wife can't keep her hands off me, but I still feel like a fucking old man when they send you shit like that. We're gonna need you to take a shit on this piece of paper and then swat. It's like, what? Who told you I was 50?
So you still feel really good.
I do, except for when I wake up in the morning. I wake up every morning because I'm in pain. Yeah, I have like crazy back pain.
But crazy. If you're doing CrossFit, you're lifting heavy weights.
Yeah, but I do CrossFit Light. I'm like, I take the women's prescribed weight and divide it by 4, and then in half again after that. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking. My 50-pound dumbbells haven't seen the light of day in forever, unless Sousa comes over and gets a workout in.
Damien could probably talk about that more.
Yeah, are you always is it always back pain regardless of exercise and anything you're doing?
Yeah, it's and I've tried a million different beds, and I've tried the pillow under the legs, and I've tried, like masturbating 3 times and praying to God, and just every fucking routine and lighting the incense, everything. And just my back, my lower back, when I wake up in the morning, I'm just kind of stuck. And I had an MRI, and once again, the doctor's like, "Oh, you have 5 dead discs in your lower back." I'm like, "Okay, what are we gonna do?" He's like, "Oh, well, have a good day." I'm like, "Fuck." Your discs are supposed to be white whenever they MRI them, and mine are just all black. It's been like that for 15 years. I jumped off a roof on mushrooms in college, broke my back. I was done growing. That's not why I'm 5'5". I was done growing, but I wasn't the first one to do it. There were like 10 guys up there.
That's
And they all started
movie.
jumping off the roof. And I was the guy in high school who got picked after, like, if there were two teams, if there were team captains, all the boys would be picked, and then some girls, and then me. So like I had no athletic ability, no coordination, no agility, and dudes are just jumping off the roof, and we're all mushrooms, like, oh, I guess we're jumping off the roof. And I fucking hit
onto what?
just onto a lawn, someone's lawn.
How many stories was this?
Just one, just off a roof. But the other guys were like rolling and tucking and rolling, and I just landed like I thought I was a superhero. I blacked out immediately. I hit, and whatever happened, I was knocked out, and I came to, and that was it. God, I hope no one's listening to the podcast. Sevan has had back pain ever since I can remember. Well, thank you, Gary. I appreciate it. I've been bitching about it, and I've known Gary for 20 years.
Fact checked. It's been confirmed.
When did your back pain start? Super curious now.
After that.
After you jumped
So you know what happened is after that, my back would go out about 4 times a year. And whenever it would go out, it would be like crazy shit, right? Like I'm just turning around to wipe my butt or something, or anything. I'm reaching on top of it, and it would just go out. And it would go out so bad that like I would have to drop to all 4 and like pop like 4 Vicodin and drink a bottle of wine before like I could move. Like literally I'd be on the floor there. Then I started CrossFit, and it started only happening like twice a year, but it would always happen when I deadlifted, always. That or stupid kettlebell swings, like I would be doing kettlebell swings with a 70-pound kettlebell, and something would just go out. But my core got way stronger from doing CrossFit. Just the whole frontal plane got stronger, and I think that helped. And now I'm perfectly mobile. Like I could stand up right now and just touch my toes, no problem, and I can stretch, and I'm super flexible. But just when I wake up, that thing is just rigid. That those back 5 just don't want to move. They're like,
Maybe you do that glass of water.
Yeah, too bad the glass of water. Yeah, maybe it's just the hard on in the front that's fucking up the back.
All the blood flow has been pulled out of the back.
Right? Yeah, the blood flow's going the wrong spot.
Oh, I hope my mom's not listening to this episode. My goodness.
Are you doing specific core exercises to kind of strengthen or loosen or for mobility?
I stretch a lot, like I don't know if stretching is the right word, but I fool around with the splits every single day. I sit, I do child's pose a lot. I'm moving constantly, and I spend a lot of time with my body. I don't use rollers or balls. It's really just if I'm lying down for more than 5 hours, the pain kicks in. Mm-hmm. So it's always about 6 hours into my sleep. It's so when we were raising our kids, sorry guys, I'm going to get back on testosterone in a second, I swear. When we first had our kids, I was getting up like every couple hours in the middle of the night, right? And pretty much my back pain went away at that point because I never was lying down long enough for it to hurt. But now we're sleeping again. And it's back. So.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely some probably functional movement stuff to kind of keep it moving a little better. It sounds like you're going through a little muscular fatigue if you're staying in one position.
Yes.
And it fails. So
that's exactly what it feels like. That's exactly what it feels like. On the side, sometimes here, it feels like I have crazy muscular fatigue. Crazy. Like it's not even in the spine. It's nuts.
Is it spasming? Does it feel like it's
No, it doesn't spasm, but it's tired. It's so tired, like almost like I'm not. Yeah, it's tight and tired. Like why is that shit trying to work when I'm lying down? Like, chill out. And I go in there before I go to sleep too. Like I do energy body. I never try to fall asleep. I put all of my attention on anywhere I have aches and pains. My shoulder, my back, wherever. It can get super duper focused and go into those places. But for some reason, that thing gets so you know what I mean? I'm trying to put attention there and breathe into it to try to see if what's tight. And there's never anything that wants to let go. Okay, sorry. Well, I'll talk to you off there. I'm sorry. Okay, back to penises and vaginas. Why? So what are the long-term studies and results of all of this? Of people who've been on this? What's the longest someone's done this protocol?
Oh, that's a good question.
What's the oldest patient you guys have?
I've been doing most of this about 5 years. So the longest that I've seen personally is someone on it for 5 years. But like I said, it's been around since the 1950s. But probably I would say I know that the people that I trained with, they've I think they've been around since 2007. So, and they're, out of the probably the 400 patients that I've treated, no, I haven't had anyone with cancers, no cancers. They all mostly feel better. Their health is better. I mean, the thing is, a lot of more people are going to be using this.
Like
and
way better, right? Not just a little bit better. Like people, this is like no joke. Like people are like, holy fuck, I got my life back.
women that are like, or women and men that are in their mid 50s that haven't had hormones for years, it's like magic. Like I said, like a slam dunk. Like they feel amazingly better. Women in their 40s, they're just starting to, or men in their 40s are just starting to have those side effects. So it may not be as like, oh wow, that's amazing. But a lot of them feel, or they're just not aware. Just like, you talked about earlier about the scones.
Right.
It's like, well, they come back sometimes and they'll say, well, what's it supposed to do?
Oh.
And then when it starts wearing off, then they're like, oh yeah, now I remember how shitty I felt. Now I remember I feel tired. But yeah, someone that hasn't had hormones for 10 years, it's going to be life-changing for sure.
J Mill, what's the most you've had a client raise his testosterone? Did I pronounce that word right? Testosterone with an N
Yes.
at the end, through adjusting their nutrition and workout regimen alone if they were worried about starting replacement up front. Meaning, have you ever had anyone come in and you're like, hey, you need to change your diet, you need to change your sleep, you need to start working out, and then they come back 6 months later and they're like, okay, I've been working out 3 times a day, I've been sleeping a shitload, I'm eating better, and then you test their shit and it's like, oh, it's up 300 points, or damn dude, it's down.
I mean, personally, I've never tested somebody for that. And that when they come to us, typically they're wanting a baseline to kind of grow from. It's not, I haven't had somebody come in person. I don't know if Caroline has come in and actually just try to raise it naturally and then got on. Usually it's people that have exhausted those types without taking precursors or without taking some sort of testosterone building things from diet and exercise. I'd have to look that up on a study to see what the most somebody's ever raised it. Caroline?
What do you think, Jay? Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think that well, it depends on if you take a guy that has never worked out, or hasn't worked out in a few years, and they really get on a diet and exercise program, and and then all of a sudden they're a CrossFitter, yes, I would say you'd probably see, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I haven't really checked someone's levels for that. Usually when they come to us, yeah, they've already been working out, or they said, I've been working out, I've changed my diet, and I'm still not feeling better, or they don't have the energy to work out.
Oh,
they're like, I'm tired, I'm not sleeping. So, and then they're working, 8 hours a day. They're like, I don't feel like working out, I don't have the energy to work out. So, but if you took, I'm sure if you took someone that was never working out and then all of a sudden became a CrossFitter, I'm sure you would see a jump in that level. I would say maybe 200 would be the max. That's just what I'm guessing. That's about the levels that we'll get with Clomid. You'll see like a jump probably around 200-300.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, actually, now that I think about it, I just idiopathically dropped from out of nowhere, dropped down to around like a 400 level. I wasn't supplementing or anything. And then about 6 months later, it climbed back up to around 650 naturally. So I don't know what caused the drop to begin with. I don't know what the baseline was before, but this was several years ago. Could have been some sort of other medication I was taking that dropped it, but naturally, just by working out more and being more active, I guess it rose about same as what Caroline said, about 200, 220.
Possibly around 200.
But I wasn't trying to. It just.
And you were younger. How old were you when that happened?
I want to say I was in my late 20s. I don't know what happened. Maybe, who knows? Add everything that would drop your T happened to me. That happened to me, and all of a sudden, could be a lack of sleep. Could have been everything. Diet. I was still active. I was still playing soccer 3 times a week, but all of a sudden, estrogen was high and testosterone was low.
No water, lots of sugar, bad night's sleep, 14 workouts in 1 week. You can seriously skew a blood test to register your testosterone low.
For sure, that will. That overworking, overtraining.
It does. Overtraining does lower it.
If you don't give your body rest.
Yeah, well, you're using up testosterone when you're working out. I mean, so, if you're working out too much and you're not replenishing that, then yeah, it could definitely be low.
What's the most common fear you get, question you get about people being afraid to start this? Like what, like for some
Cancer.
reason,
Cancer.
what is it? Cancer.
Yeah.
And in 5 years, you've never seen it. You've never seen that.
None of my patients that I've started on hormone replacement therapy, usually I've had a young patient get breast cancer and someone in their 60s that got breast cancer. I probably get 2 to 3 breast cancers a year, and they're typically breast cancer can increase with age. So we typically see it in older ages, and neither of the patients were on hormone replacement therapy.
And how many clients have you had in 5 years on hormone replacement therapy?
Probably about 500.
It was
Because this is my own practice that I do, and I also see obstetrics patients too.
What is that? Pregnant women?
Pregnant women, yeah, and deliver babies. So half the practice is pregnancy, and half the practice is hormones and gynecology, general gynecology.
Do you have kids?
I do. I have a daughter. She's 11.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Thank you.
God, delivering babies. my wife had the babies at home, and it was probably, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that was 3 coolest moments in my life. What a fascinating thing to see a human being deliver a baby, and to see how the vagina operates, and to see how, man, it was nuts. It was nuts. Everyone should see that. Everyone should make a baby. Well, I don't know about that part. So you should see one. Start with seeing one.
Changes your life. It's definitely a very, like it's a euphoric experience.
Yeah, very. Does it ever get old for you, or is everyone like, holy shit, here's another baby?
Some parts of it, yeah, it's definitely physically demanding for me. So,
what do you mean by that? Why is that? What do you mean?
Well, yeah, we're usually running around, so it is a very physical job. So we're in the office, we're running, and then we get called, you've got a baby coming, so then you run out of the office, and then you might have to do a C-section. And so, it can't, I mean, for someone like me, I'm tiny. I'm like 5 feet tall, 110 pounds. So over time that can get very physically demanding. So and in the hours, the babies come, we can't predict when the babies come. They come.
And you have an 11-year-old baby yourself.
Yes.
Hey, do you work out?
Well, actually I've had a lot of back problems. So
you should see Damien.
I know. I am going to go see Damien soon. Yeah, I actually just had back surgery about 2 weeks ago. So hopefully I'll get started, get back into working out soon, but not on a regular basis because I've had a lot of back problems. But yeah, I used to work out a lot. I used to do CrossFit back in the day.
Oh, you think CrossFit fucked you up? You think that's why your back got all fucked up? Souza, maybe you want to mute yourself or pee or something. Matt owns a CrossFit gym. You think that doing the CrossFit fucked you up?
Maybe I shouldn't comment on that.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine.
I had genetics.
I'm an open-minded CEO. I'm totally open-minded CEO. I will adjust the
we'll
entire
just tell you why
program.
you're wrong after.
After you hang up, we'll be like, she fucked herself up. It's her fault.
That's
Jim.
Well, I think I had some back problems to start. I was a gymnast, and I don't know. I think my dad always had lower back problems, so gymnastics and genetics. And then like being an OBGYN, you're always, always lifting things or holding things. So I think it's just chronic overuse as well. But when I first started doing CrossFit, there was a couple times where I had some bad sciatic pain from deadlifts. But yeah, I think deadlifts are one of the, if I do anything like that, I'll do a single leg deadlift. And it usually doesn't hurt my back. But yeah, I stopped doing deadlifts a long time ago.
Yeah, picking babies up off the ground is enough.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating business you're in. It's really it seems like the outcome is always like just people feel better. Everything just gets better. You're happier. You can work out more. You can be a better contributor to society. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with these 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 people we follow along over the next 12 months and see how this affects their life. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
It-
Whenever I first started doing it, I was skeptical. I mean, we were trained in medical school that, totally differently. And so I was very skeptical. And then, I went and did the course. And then I was very nervous to start doing it with my patients in the beginning. I was like,
right.
it was very selective. And
Because
and,
it's such an unknown, right? Messing with
yeah.
people's hormones. Okay.
Yeah. And all the things that I learned in medical school, they're like, hormones cause cancer. A lot of my colleagues, still think that. And like I said, I was very skeptical too. And then now that I've seen the difference, I'm a huge believer in it. I mean, it definitely, but you have to make sure you're following these people. You have to make sure you're checking their levels. They have to follow up, because things can happen, especially in women. So in women, a lot of people think it's breast cancer that there's an increased risk of. But if you're not following the levels closely, actually there can be an increased risk in endometrial cancer of the lining of the uterus. So if a female is on estrogen and they have a uterus, they have to be on progesterone. And if they're not on progesterone, then it can increase the risk of endometrial cancer. So someone that stopped taking their progesterone and stopped seeing you could end up with endometrial cancer. So you do have to follow these patients really closely. But as long as they're being followed and they're, doing things appropriately, they're not going to get cancer.
And it's been and how long have you been doing this, Damien?
I've been doing sports medicine for about 13 years, which follows along with this. This specifically probably lasts 3 years, 4 years.
Are there any horror stories that you guys have heard? You guys seem so like positive about it.
No, I mean, I think, there's always going to be some sort of horror story, but I mean, I've had other stories that were more horror stories in my sports practice that weren't on hormones, actually, that were pretty terrible findings, and people who had cancer that weren't on hormones. So I've had those. But in this, again, we're trying to make people to optimum levels. We're not getting them to compete in bodybuilding or things that put them at risk. And we're also not using synthetic versions of testosterone, which you find in the gyms, like your Dianabol and things like that. You probably hear of, like steroids. Yeah. So we're really just trying to, I guess, get people to that quality of life. We're not trying to build superstars and things like that, where you can kind of run into other risks.
I just think that a lot of people, like, so for me, if I were to start this program, the whole thing for me would be, I would want to be able to play Frisbee with my son. Instead of 30 minutes, I'd want to be able to play with him for 3 hours. Like, that's why I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's what I think. And I'm thinking for like maybe other men, maybe it's to look better to attract a mate. Let's say you're 50 years old, you've been through a divorce, or you're still not married, and you want to attract a better mate. Those are, I mean, those seem. Are those the reasons? I mean, is it that simple? Like, people just want to be able to be more mobile, be able to do more, be able to play more, be able to attract more mates. I mean,
it's optimization, or performance enhancement, So, I mean, if you could do it, even if you like you're not having a ton of symptoms, but it has a lot of health benefits. So the health benefits you're not going to be able to see or feel. Like, you're not going to be able to feel that your bones are getting thicker and stronger. So, you'll see those benefits over time. So I do think that, if it was my choice, I'd have everyone on it, but not everyone is open to it. Not everyone is, necessarily, is it in their budget, or they've heard different things from their doctor. Like, if I have a patient from Kaiser's, for example, they come and we check their levels, and then we put them on hormones, and they go back to Kaiser, and their doctor's like, you shouldn't be doing that. You should get off of this. This is unsafe. But it's typically that, that doctor hasn't really experienced it. Like I said, I was skeptical in the beginning too. So I would probably 5 years ago, I would have told someone the same thing. So, and then people start not knowing who to trust, which is totally understandable. So you're hearing two different doctors, two different opinions, which will happen,
Yeah. Well, I mean, my whole life, I've heard doctors say that you shouldn't be exercising, that you shouldn't be squatting below parallel. I remember my dad was in the hospital. He had some E. coli infection. This is like 15 years ago. And they couldn't grow it on a culture, and they didn't know what to do. And I remember asking the doctor, "Hey, while he's in this situation, and you're trying to find antibiotics that can fix this, should we be worried about his diet or change his diet in order to help mitigate the spread?" They said, "No, this has nothing to do with diet." And like flash forward 15 years, and I'm like, "You're a fucking idiot!" Like every fucking situation. Like I think you can take a healthy person who has COVID and give them a fucking 6-pack of Mountain Dew and fucking mainline them with it, and you'll kill them. Like that. I think diet's like fucking huge.
Yeah,
So,
I think it is.
So I don't trust. It's great to hear your perspective and how things have changed. And I think the half-life of a surgery in the medical profession is 7 years. Meaning every 7 years, doctors or the medical profession is like, we probably shouldn't be doing that surgery anymore. And it's like crazy.
I mean, I've had my own frustrations with that too, but I'll say our training is not, it's definitely not geared toward, at least my training. I do think that the tide is changing, and the doctors that are coming out now and physician's assistants. I have a lot of physician assistants in my office, and a lot of them are more trained in more what we call functional medicine. So there are a lot more functional medicine doctors are coming out. So the tide is changing. So just, some of the,
so stop bad mouthing doctors. Chill out, Sevan. Be cool. Chill out.
They're fixing it, Sevan.
Well, I think our training is definitely, I hate to badmouth other doctors either, but the way we're trained is we're not trained in that, and we're not trained that, in diet and exercise and things like that. So typically when I'm working with a patient, if they need help with their workouts and their diet, I usually send them to, I have a colleague that I work with, and, he does their diet and their exercise program, because I'm not really trained in that. And I'm not an expert in that, but, and honestly, hormones can get so complicated. So if you're, most doctors kind of specialize in one thing at a time, and it is really hard to be really good at a lot of things. And medicine is so vast. So to be really good at one thing, you have to kind of specialize in it. So you have to work with other doctors. But I've had my own, before I had my own medical issues, I became a much better doctor after I had all my back problems, because I started researching things more. And I'm like, oh, well, now I'm on the other side of the table. And this is, the surgeries that I've had are not working. These things are not working. I'm willing to be open and try everything. But I definitely think as a doctor, if you've gone through something difficult medically, it changes your perspective for sure.
Yeah.
And I've had my own frustrations with,
right.
with back surgeons. I've probably seen 10 to 12 back surgeons until I finally found one that I think is good and understands things and listens.
Yeah, I think there's two different approaches. One's like a proactive measure to try to prevent disease, and the other one's a reactive measure to react to the disease that's already happened. I mean, I'm sure everyone here has been into a scenario where you've seen someone, they're like, oh, you're fine, come back when it's a problem, because that's like the mindset is to wait till something's an illness to fix it, instead of looking at it as, instead of a disease like disease, someone doesn't feel good, you want to actually try to make them feel better before they get to that stage of disease.
I have a friend who is a cardiovascular
surgeon.
He's a surgeon, but he's also a who's the cardiovascular. His main thing he does is reads X-rays. Damn, there's a word for it.
So he's an interventional.
Yes, maybe that
radiologist, or he's a radiologist.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's an interventional radiologist, but he also does surgeries.
Yeah, so he's an interventional radiologist.
And he says that months will go by where he won't see a single patient or a single X-ray where the person's not 30 years complicit in their demise. Meaning they've either been smoking for 30 years, they've been drinking Coke for 30 years. He says, like, no one just like runs off the 400-meter track and is like, okay, I got issues. It's all just fucking, people who are just lifestyle, they've just been making the wrong lifestyle choices for 30 years. They've been, wake up, eat a donut, smoke a cigarette, and have that cream or sweetener in their coffee for 30 years. And next thing they know, they're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, if you're doing CrossFit, you're already doing, diet and exercise, which you should be. But the average population is not doing that. I mean, I would say, my average female patient is probably 180 to 200 pounds. So average female in California, which is going to be a much lower, level than something like where I was from in Texas. The average weight there, is probably more like 250 for the average person.
Or at Disneyland, it's 330.
Probably.
When's the last time you've been to Disneyland, Dr. Connor? Do you know?
Oh, it's been a few years, thankfully. I don't like the big crowds. Walmart, just go to Walmart. Walmart's probably 330 is the average there.
That's what someone told me too. They said, dude, you're a fucking idiot. Don't you go to Walmart? Haven't you been to a Walmart? But we don't have I live in a kind of a small town off the beaten path, so we don't have a Walmart.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on. I think that what's going to happen here is this is going to stimulate a lot of conversation, a lot of ideas, and this has been a great education for me. And maybe we can have you guys back on periodically as we have some of these people go through the program, and we can talk about what they're experiencing and whatnot.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Would you guys, well, you can grade me, send a text to Miss Sarah and you grade your experience on the podcast on a what's the highest a testosterone level could be? 1,200?
It can be higher. It can be I've seen it 2,300, 2,400.
So. No shit.
Yeah.
Like naturally, or the guy comes in, he's like,
I don't know, because like I said, I want to check this 21-year-old
Justin.
champion. I want to see what his is.
Yeah, good point. Maybe we can get his blood work.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's so interested to see what it is, because that's the goals. You want to be like him.
Right. That is true. That's true.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I've seen 2,400, but that's not natural.
Is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with? Anything that you think that like we absolutely should have touched on that we didn't?
I heard you mention some games coming up.
So you mean the California Hormone Games?
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's the goal. Oh, that's the goal. And it's funny. Someone called me the other day and they said, "Is that a joke?" And I said, "No, it's absolutely not a joke." And you know who I think's actually who's gonna win that? I think that the prize money will be so good that kid Justin Medeiros will come there and win that. But the premise of the game is just to have no testing. Let anyone come in and find who is. Do it at the home of the CrossFit Games at this ranch in Aromas, where everyone and their mother would show up. It would
I like how you get into the details now.
It would be insane. Yeah. And we would have it programmed by the best programmer in the world, and dudes will show up and we'll test to see who truly is the greatest man alive in terms of his human capacity with all the bumpers and all the taken off and go. And hopefully you two will be there.
Well, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I've always said I wanted to just level the playing field. I mean, because you don't know what a lot of the guys are taking. And it's like, well, if a lot of people are already taking certain things, then why not make it legal?
Right.
just and see who comes out on top when you're then,
I agree. And you know what the thing is too, is I still believe that this guy wins.
Yeah, that guy, I think he's gonna win.
Yeah, I think that guy wins no matter what. But it's still cool. But it's still cool to let like 50-year-old dudes compete against him.
Yeah.
Age categories.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Great show.
Yeah.
I'd love to have you back on. I know we're gonna have you back on again. We're gonna invite you back on again. And from the smiles on your face, I think you guys will come back on again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fun.
All right. We will talk to you soon. When I remove you guys from this, you guys will be gone, and then you guys can just hang up. But Matt and I will still be here to talk behind your backs. All right.
We'll listen in.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay,
Don't
great.
go YouTube.
All right.
Good job.
Give myself an injection right now.
We're gonna follow you for the next 12 months.
Do they sell peptides and ship to? I don't think it works quite like that. Here's the deal.
I think you get anywhere in the US though.
If you want, so here's the deal. What I think is going to happen. We have a bunch of really cool people who are interested. We have a primetime Alex Stein. We have Gary Roberts. We have Jim Jordan, and we have a gentleman named Paul. I don't know Paul's last name. And then we have 3 or 4 women that we're going to interview who to see if they're going to do this also. And they're going to send in their blood, and we're basically just going to follow them along this journey. Maybe they don't do anything. Maybe there's no part of the protocol, and we just follow them over the next 12 months, and they have their blood checked 4 times, or maybe they do get on the protocol. But the Gary Roberts story is going to be absolutely fascinating if he decides to partake on it, because we've seen him do this twice. We saw Killing Fat Man season 1 and Killing the Fat Man season 2, the 2 most popular series in the history of CrossFit that are non-games related. And there he is. And he has a work ethic and a commitment that I think is second to none. And it appears that last I talked to him that he's stopped working out and he's put on a bunch of weight again, and he's very interested in doing it. So, and then of course there's primetime Alex Stein, 99. He's 40. Gary's 50. Jim Jordan is 60, and actually we have another guy.
Alex Stein is 40.
He's 35. He's 35.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, he's 35. Gary's 50. Jim Jordan 60. And we have a couple other guys. We have a 29-year-old guy that's interested, and we have the 35-year-old Alex Stein. So we have this pretty great crew. Anyway, I'm pumped. Tomorrow we have a crazy week coming up for you guys. Tomorrow we have the
President's Club,
right? Tomorrow we have the CEO and founder of GoRuck coming on, Jason McCarthy.
Yep.
That's at 7 a.m. Then on Wednesday, I can't believe it, we have Officer Tatum coming on. If you guys don't know who that is, you should follow him on Instagram. Maybe Matt could pull up his Instagram account now. He is a fucking legend and a warrior, and he's an incredible man who really stepped out to speak the truth. I don't know, 4 years ago. When did George Floyd happen? What year was that? 2 years ago, 3 years ago? That's when he popped on my scene. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And then on Thursday we have I think the CEO of the Tactical Games coming on, Jared.
Yep.
And then on Friday, we have the president of High Rocks coming on. That's the event that the great Hunter McIntyre has been just dominating for the last couple of years. And then on Saturday, we don't have anyone booked yet. On Sunday, okay, good. All right. Oh, shit. And on Monday, we have Tinkinen coming on. Did I pronounce his last name right? Wow, that's an old friend. That's an old friend. Yami. Yami is the coach up there in Iceland. Probably one of the best coaches in the CrossFit space, if not the best, with probably one of the best teams, if not the best. And it's going to be fun to pick his brain and hear about. I'll ask him about his history with CrossFit, when he found it. We can both reminisce on some stories. But I think in that stable right now, he has Katrin David's daughter, Annie Thor's daughter, BKG, and then of course that incredible team of Tola, Lauren Fisher, Con Porter. I don't know who the girl is in the bottom lower left
here,
in the gray tank top. Yeah,
I'm not sure either.
And then Frederick Egidius, he's the one that made the baby with Annie. All right, and then on Tuesday, we have Zach. He's the guy who lost 120 pounds and has kept it off for 4 years. Can't wait to talk to him. He heard the Disneyland episode and wanted to come on and talk about weight loss.
Our May weight loss story. We're going to try to do one of those a month, right?
Yeah, that would be the goal. We got Ronnie. We got Raw of Earth scheduled for the 23rd. Ronnie Teasdale.
There's another big one on there too.
We got Annie Thor's daughter coming on the 25th. Wow. Okay.
And we got a couple more cool people in the
We
works.
got Athena Perez coming on the 27th. And we'll talk about her new program. If you're not familiar with Athena's new program, there is a link to it in the bottom of every newsletter. Can you hear that?
No, I can barely hear something in the background.
I'm looking. I'm in my office, and there's a window that looks out to the backyard, and my boys are peeking in the window. They've never done that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're getting to that age. I might have to fucking black out that window. They're gonna start messing with me. All right. And the name of Athena's program is shit. How come I can't remember it?
Larger bodies.
No. No.
I'm trying to pull up the email on it for the life of me. I can't find it. Oh, okay.
What do you call it?
Yeah. Working with larger bodies.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, can you pull up the Anyway, it's a couple weeks away. I believe it's going into I think it's doing its beta in May or June, and then eventually this will be open to the public very soon. I can't wait to talk to her about it. There's really no one that I know who's as committed in this space as her. So, all right, guys, I will talk to you tomorrow morning. Thank you to Damien and Miss Caroline Connor. Damien, why do I have so much trouble with his last name? Burgess. And
yeah, wait, did you answer this one too? There's this.
Oh no, that's got it.
We're working on it.
Yeah,
she's down. She's ready to rock. We just got to land on a.
Yeah, that was my fault. That was my fault. I was hanging with Dave and Greg and the crew in Colorado, and I fucking dropped the ball on that show.
It's all right. We'll get it. She seemed into it. She seemed like she's gonna have fun with it. So that should be a fun show.
And you guys, the text messages and DMs as I'm looking over here are pouring in regarding this show that we just did. Wow. Yes. So the website you want to go to is California Hormones.
Yeah.
Can you put? Is it CaliforniaHormones.com?
Yep. I already linked it in the chat one more time. One time before. I just put it in again, and then you guys can find that on our newsletter, the last newsletter, as well as there'll be links to it in the show notes below.
And anyone who partakes, this is going to be something that basically I'm going to spend a lot of time focused on for the next year. I'm going to be talking about this, looking at this, studying this, following these people. If there's anyone else who jumps on this bandwagon or wants to do this, and you end up doing this through California Hormones, please stay in touch. Just because we didn't choose you doesn't mean you can't choose yourself and insert yourself.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll have some cool stuff going on with that.
Yeah, I met Sousa because he just bugged me. I met Will because he just bugged me. I mean, everyone I meet, it's either I'm bugging them or they're bugging me. They just insert yourself. Just insert yourself. Like Tyler Watkins, the guy who just wrote the article for the newsletter.
And everybody who wrote in for the trial, thank you. We'll be getting back to a couple of you, the ladies actually, and then for everybody else, I talked to Sarah about it, and I do believe we'll be giving you guys some sort of discount code. And Sarah actually said as well, if you guys, for people listening tonight, that it looks like they'll do the free upfront consultation. So if you guys want to jump on early and go to the site and get your information, it looks like you'll be getting the free upfront consultation. And we'll be coming up with some cool codes and stuff like that for some people that want to participate later as well.
What are you going to have for dinner tonight?
Burgers, some bison burgers, and some liver.
I'm having tacos.
I'm not having liver. I just was hoping that people would think I was cool.
They think you're cool. All right, guys. See you guys tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Thank you, and bye-bye.